Just making sure it's connecting. Okay, we're live. Hi! Welcome back to another weekly horoscope. So excited you're here. I don't know if y'all have seen, but I got monetized on YouTube, so I have super chats now. I'm so excited about it. Just had to share that. And yeah, it like makes me so excited. I feel like a new era of my YouTube has begun, of my YouTube life and journey. Um, okay, so the transits of this week, you know, I feel like there's going to be a lot of just uncomfortable feelings that are brought up for a lot of us to heal, to look at, to release, to clear, to feel so that we can heal. Because what we resist persists. And we're going to experience that firsthand this week of like no longer being able to ignore certain things that maybe we've been putting off or avoiding or not wanting to face, not wanting to look at, not wanting to deal with. I also think I almost named this video like face your fears because I feel like that's a big collective theme that's coming up as well with all these transits and everything squaring Chiron this week. Um, and we still have the Jupiter, we have the sun just now joining the Saturn Neptune square with Jupiter. So there's a lot of things that are being brought to the surface that it's like we just cannot keep ignoring or putting off or neglecting to face or look at. So I think we're gonna really have to, if we have been neglecting any of those things, face them this week. And I think that's really the general overall theme of this week is going to be there are things that we have to face within ourselves to feel so that we can heal. And I feel like I already said that. But yeah, what else was I going to say? Oh, I was going to call this face your fears because I feel like there's a lot of fears we're having to face, whether real or imagined or, internal, external. Um, Kind of just that whole grappling with fear in and of itself and the what comes with fear, right? Fear comes uh from or creates worry, anxiety, things that are focused on the future instead of right now, and really peace, calm. Everything that ever is happening at any given time is only happening in the present, and that's all we can focus on. And I think this week is going to force us to really just bring everything back to the present, what's coming up right now that I can deal with or look at, or what is right in front of me at this moment to focus on and to do instead of trying to anticipate future things, right? So I think that's going to be a big focus, especially with the current world events. So don't let fear take you up in its wave. You are the boat riding the wave. So just remember that. Okay. Let's go over each rising sign's horoscope for this week to get a little bit more clarity for how this is going to show up for you based on where it is all happening in your chart. So we're going to start, as always, with Aries. Let me just pull it up. Okay, here we go. So Aries, we start the week off with the moon in your third house. The moon was just on Uranus in your second house, so there might have been some big shift around money, finances, self-worth, values, possessions, maybe what you're doing to make money as well. And then with the moon moving through Gemini in your third house, for the beginning of the week, the focus is really going to be on, okay, how are you communicating your ideas, information, sharing that with people, your community, your network, putting things out there to the world that you want to share, that you want to be known for. And it might challenge something in your routine. It might challenge something about where you're going on a daily basis or what you're doing on a daily basis, so that you look at those things. It might even bring up ways you need to better take care of your physical health, as Mars is now in your sixth house, putting the focus of your energy on your structures and systems in place that allow you to take better care of your physical health, as well as work too. So all these things might be getting a reevaluation through an emotional lens of like, okay, what really lights me up in an emotional way that I want to share, that I want to just create, and maybe bring more of myself into my work in that way. Then on Tuesday, you're going to have Mercury squaring Chiron in your first house. So there might be some conversation that happens within your home or with a family member that kind of brings up a trigger or a wound around your identity, your appearance, your image, your body. That maybe is like, okay, maybe connected to what was coming up on Monday about needing to have like a better routine, about taking care of your physical body or your health or your mindset, and how that's playing into how you view yourself, and just how you really embody you and your identity. So I think there's going to be a lot of like, as I titled this video, like harmony and healing happening through these challenges and conflicts that are showing up in these areas of your life. Then on Wednesday, we have the new moon in your fourth house. So you might be setting intentions around family, moving homes, or just changing something about your home so that it feels more expansive and nurturing for you, feels more supportive, like getting free weights so that you can, have a workout space in your home if you hate going to the gym or whatever it is, like really just what intentions, beginnings are you setting and creating in your home life to better nurture and care for yourself in the ways that you have been needing to prioritize. On Thursday, the moon's going to continue to move through your fourth house. And then on Friday, well, let's say later on the day and Thursday, later on in the day on Thursday, it is going to move over Mercury, and square Chiron, but it's also going to harmonize a little bit with Venus. So this could be like some breakthrough that happens in terms of your sense of self, maybe through a conversation with a family member or somebody you deem as family or really close to you or within your home itself. That just brings a lot of clarity on like, okay, how you want to move forward with these things and how you want to take action towards embodying these ways of life that you're changing about yourself. There could be clarity on Friday as the moon and Mercury move into your fifth house around some creative passion or pursuit, or maybe dating, if that applies, your romantic life. But I do feel like it's going to propel you into some sort of inner transformation based around your long-term visions, goals, your friends, your community. Maybe this is you're starting to create content and you're really like, okay, in order to feel my best when I create, I need to like do up my hair. I need to put on makeup. I need to like really just like hype myself up to go and do this thing so that I feel better about it. I do feel like with the moon and now Mercury moving through your fifth house over the weekend, like there is this boost of creative potential. There is this boost of inspiration or creative ideas, maybe even related to like how you're making money and how you're bringing that in and the changes that you're putting in place there that feel more aligned with, again, your long-term goals and visions and how you want to support or be supported by your community. And I think that's going to continue to be a focus for you, Aries, over the weekend. And then there might be some breakthrough around that on Saturday into Sunday as the moon in Leo is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your second house. There could be something that happens maybe Saturday into Sunday around money that like triggers you to be like, okay, I need to like really put this out there. I've been sitting on this idea or whatever it is. And I just need to create it. I need to birth it so that it actually, is something that I'm putting out there into the world. And there's really this need for discipline around whatever it is. So that's what we got for you, Aries. Let me know how that resonates with you, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus, we start the week off with the moon in Gemini in your second house. It's going to challenge Mars and Virgo in your fifth house. So this could be some emotional challenge or conflict around money and like your creative passions or pursuits, maybe even your dating life or children as that applies. I do feel like this ramp up to the new moon in your third house is kind of gearing you up for some sort of new creative idea or communication that is needing to like that you're needing to embody in order to have more harmony with whatever's going on that's causing this conflict. I do feel like the focus, especially as we get closer to the new moon that we have on Wednesday, will be on how are you communicating from your feelings? How are you just being vulnerable and sharing about what's going on with you so that the people around you can support you or can help you or can like, really it's about support and nurturance and having that from your people, but it requires you voicing that there is something that you need from the people around you, right? So I think there's going to be a big breakthrough around that for you on the day of the full moon on Wednesday, or new moon, sorry, it is a new moon. And this new moon also is going to challenge Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. So it might bring up like subconscious wounds or patternings or things that you didn't realize were there. For you to understand what's happening so you can change it, so you can heal it, right? So you cannot just keep acting unconsciously from this place of being wounded or triggered, without having like awareness and those tools and resources to be able to work through it when it happens. Does that make sense? Then on Thursday into Friday, the moon in Cancer is going to, later in the day on Thursday, the moon in Cancer is going to challenge Chiron in your 12th house. So again, this could be some emotional trigger that's brought up, maybe through just somewhere you go on a daily basis, or something you do or talk to on a daily basis, that like you call this person, as an example, you call this person all the time for support, and this time that you call them, it kind of triggers you and maybe brings up further awareness around that thing that needs to really be healed and transformed. Maybe it's a block, a belief, a past, trauma or trigger or something like that. That's like, okay, I didn't realize this was still affecting me in the way that it is. I really need to support myself in healing this in whatever ways. And then on Friday, the moon and Mercury are going to move into your 4th house. So you're going to be really focused on family, on home, maybe just nesting or making things more beautiful in your home. You might also just be realizing like, okay, I need to have like alone time in order to really like process everything that came up earlier in the week, the triggers, the wounds, and like really look at it. It's almost like doing like really deep shadow work. Taurus is what the energy is. It's like, okay, I did not realize this was still affecting me, and now that you know it is, you're able to do the work around it. And maybe calling on family or people you think of as family for support as well. Then on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your 1st house. So there could be some big breakthroughs from this around yourself, your identity, how you're going through life, like how you are maybe even dressing or doing your makeup or doing your hair. Like I feel like there's going to be some big breakthrough and some sudden change and insight as we get into the weekend and even into next week around you and your appearance and how you're viewing yourself and how you're moving through the world. This might be like, okay, you healed whatever block or whatever was there, and you literally emerge like a new person. It sounds really dramatic, but I feel like it might be a subtle thing that only you understand about yourself has changed, but it is going to have a positive ripple effect. So let me know how that resonates with you, Taurus. I feel like that was very specific for you this week. And I'll see you next week. Okay, Gemini, we start the week off with the moon in your 1st house. I feel like you're going to be feeling more sensitive, more intuitive, maybe just more focused emotionally on you, on how you're expressing yourself, how you're communicating yourself, how you're putting yourself out there in life. But there might be some issues with your home. Again, maybe there's like something you've been kind of neglecting. I think we were talking about this last week of like something in your home needs to be organized, dealt with. And maybe there will be an emotional challenge around that on Monday that prompts some breakthrough or healing for you as well. It might come through the support of friends or your community, as on Tuesday, the moon is going to be harmonizing with Chiron later in the day on Tuesday. So there might be some support that comes through emotionally through your community or through a friend. And then I feel like that's also kind of the focus of the new moon for you, Gemini, and that we have on Wednesday in your 2nd house is like, how are you nurturing yourself? Like with your possessions, with your resources. Maybe you need to declutter. Maybe you just need to like kind of start over in a lot of ways with what you own and what you have and how you're nurturing yourself, and maybe creating the habits and routines that you need in place and really being disciplined with those so that you don't lose sight of the best ways for you to nurture and take care of yourself. Then on Thursday, later in the day on Thursday, we're going to have the moon challenge Chiron in your 11th house. There could be something that comes up around your community, maybe in an emotional way, that triggers something you didn't realize was still kind of affecting you in a lot of ways, around maybe some mother wound too, of like, that's kind of maybe the root of all of these things that have been happening for you. Like there's some maybe like some family wound or mother wound specifically that is going to be brought up for you to look at later in the day on Thursday and get some clarity around. Friday, the moon and Mercury move into your 3rd house. So I feel like you're going to be feeling more expressive. I feel like whatever this was that had this weight on you in a lot of ways is going to lift, and you're going to be feeling more free, more yourself, wanting to hang out with people more, socialize more, prioritize people in your life that really feel fun and also nurturing for you, to have that support that you need and in the ways that you need it. Saturday, later in the day on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your 12th house. So this could be more of a subconscious breakthrough. Maybe you've been doing a lot of shadow work, and you're going to get more of like this breakthrough of clarity around how that's been affecting you. There might be some challenge too, like in if you go somewhere that you normally go all the time, there could be something that happens there that you're like, whoa, this was kind of chaotic and crazy and I didn't expect this, just like going to the grocery store or whatever. That's kind of random and really really specific, but also there is this big shift happening in how you view life. So there might have been some like conversation you had that prompts some breakthrough that you're like, whoa, I did not think I would see things this way all of a sudden. And you're kind of really having to come to terms with that and everything that it brought up within your belief system and everything. So that's the week ahead for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Cancer, we have a new moon in your first house this week, but before that, we're going to have the moon in Gemini in your 12th house. It will be challenging Mars and Virgo in your third house. So this could be subconscious stuff coming up that maybe you didn't know was there around your communication style or patterns, or like how you're expressing yourself and your ideas and taking action towards that. Maybe even organizing things better or like having more of a set schedule or routine of like where you go, what you do. I just feel like you're getting more clarity about how to like organize your life better and especially your routines and how you run errands and do things like that. Then on Tuesday, later in the day on Tuesday, the moon is going to harmonize with Chiron in your 10th house. So there could be some emotional clarity around something in your career, maybe related to what was going on for you on Monday, or maybe even like this whole last week. Also on Tuesday, Mercury is going to challenge Chiron in your 10th house. So there could be some really challenging thing that happens in your career that really prompts for you to speak up for yourself, or just to like state your opinion, your values, in a really like grounded place, but also that's really real and vulnerable and doesn't like forsake you. Um, Interesting. I'm interested to hear how that shows up for you exactly, Cancer, because that feels very specific. And then we have the new moon on Wednesday in your first house. I feel like this is just really starting to feel yourself more, and knowing what it is required for you to take care of you above all else, because you are so nurturing for other people. And it's like this time is about, okay, how do I bring it home to me? How do I take care of me in the ways that I need in order to feel more expanded, and to just feel more optimistic about myself and life moving forward. Then later in the day on Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron. So that might be a little emotionally uncomfortable. Again, there might be something that happens within your career or at work that kind of triggers something in you that you're like, oh, I didn't realize like I had this emotionally charged thing going on. And it feels like there could be some big emotional release either around the new moon or after, when we have this square to Chiron. But then on Friday, the moon and Mercury are going to move into your second house. So I feel like you're going to be really focused on your money and your resources, maybe just having more fun and that attracting more money for you in whatever ways, or like you've really started to do more creative pursuits and ventures, and it really is bringing you a lot of internal expansion that's also impacting your money in a positive way. This is kind of random, but maybe you'll start to teach classes on whatever this is, or just create more community around whatever this is that feels really fun and passionate for you, but also like somehow brings you money in maybe a way you didn't expect. Then on Saturday and into Sunday, really over the weekend, the moon is going to be challenging Uranus and Venus in your 11th house. So there could maybe be some conflict around your community or social media or long-term visions and goals that comes up through whatever's happening with your money. Maybe it's like you're really just changing your whole perspective of how you viewed your future moving forward because of whatever this is, whatever transformation is happening there. It feels like you didn't expect it to change your life in the way that it is starting to. And so you're really having to like just how do I say that? Like create space to kind of process that. And maybe do a little bit of like planning of like, okay, now what do I do, right? How, like, now that this has really shifted how I view life and my goals, like what are my goals? And maybe you have to really clarify your desires, and just get really clear on what you want moving forward with life. So that is the week ahead for you, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 11th house. This could just, have you really focused on friends. You could be busy, really socially busy, or there could just be a lot of ideas stirring and things coming to light about people in your life that, you're wanting to just get more clarity around. It also feels like whatever happens with your relationships or your friend groups or on social media, it's challenging your money. So there could be some like emotional friction between what's going on in your community or your outer world and like your finances, your resources, that kind of thing. Maybe this is just like someone bringing it to your attention that or just like, I don't know, you see something on social media that's like, okay, I really need to like budget and organize my finances better. So that I'm more intentional with my resources kind of thing. It doesn't feel bad. It just feels like, oh, I'm now aware that I have to make some kind of shift. Then on Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge the nodes in your second and eighth houses. So that could be some big release around money, like you release a source of income to make room for a better one or whatever it is. The moon is also going to be harmonizing with Chiron. So that could bring about some healing in your perspective of life and just how you're viewing everything. We're also going to have Mercury squaring Chiron on that day as well. So it could bring up some big mindset, subconscious like belief that you didn't realize was there about how you're viewing everything that you're doing. Have you ever heard that saying where it's like you can try and manifest something, but to do it from a belief system that's in opposition to like what you want, it's not going to be helpful. That's kind of like this energy. It's like you're realizing some belief system was at play that was maybe like blocking the success that is possible for you with this thing, and you're realizing like, oh, this was my mindset around that is kind of not helpful, so I need to shift it. Is that energy? Then on Wednesday we have the new moon in your 12th house on Jupiter. So again, this feels like a big expansion of like looking at things deep within your subconscious and being made aware of things that maybe weren't really helping you to do what you want to do and to have the success that you can have with what you're doing. Then on Thursday, the moon is going to move with Mercury and square Chiron in your ninth house. So again, that could be some big emotional look at a belief system or a mindset that really hasn't been serving you and how you're going about life and making these changes in your career that you've been making. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for you, Leo, with Venus moving close to Uranus over this weekend and then into next week. There's this big potential for positive change, especially that benefits your money in a positive way, in your career and like what you're doing for work. I feel like all of it's intertwined and there's a big potential for positive change there. But again, it's kind of like you have to look at the foundation of your belief system before you can see the physical success. Does that make sense? Then on Friday, the moon and Mercury move into your first house. Mercury in your first house is going to be like you're just expressing yourself a lot more. You're going to be feeling yourself a lot more, especially with the moon there. You could maybe be feeling more sensitive too, but I just feel like it's almost a rebirth. I feel when we get into Leo season, that'll be like a true rebirth for you, but this is like a mental rebirth of new ideas, communicating yourself more than you have been, and kind of just emerging from this cocoon of like healing. Like it's like you have a better foundation for yourself and how you're moving forward and sharing your ideas and things. So this is going to prompt for some big transformation as it relates to that, because this will be opposite Pluto in your seventh house as well. You could have attracted a lot more helpful people that support you in this new immersion of you. Does that make sense? I feel like it's really an etheric way to talk about this, but that's how it's coming through. Then Saturday into Sunday, there is going to be some maybe emotional challenge or friction that happens in your first house and in your 10th house. So this might even be like identity kind of crisis, of like, uh, I don't know, needing to really be your own cheerleader as it relates to whatever you're doing. That's like prompting you, or yeah, prompting you, calling for you to put yourself out there more. It feels like it's gonna challenge some emotional thing about yourself, that is not going to feel comfortable in the moment, but it is going to be ultimately more positive and beneficial for you in the long run, and what you're doing in your career and the changes that you're making there. So that's the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how that resonates with you, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Virgo, we start the week off on Monday with the moon in your 10th house. I feel like this is just going to have you really kind of busy with work. That could prompt for, earlier in the day on Monday, there could be some transformation that happens within your work, within your health, maybe even. Like if you haven't been feeling your best energetically, there could be some big shift on Monday that happens that maybe has you more inspired to create in your career, or just more emotionally focused on like what's going on in your career through some inner shift in your health, and how you're actually feeling in yourself. But also the moon, it's kind of a conundrum, because as the moon harmonizes with Pluto, it is going to challenge Mars in your first house too. So it does feel like there may be some conflict or challenge that propels you into this transformation, that has, that also kind of positively benefits and impacts your career in some way. Then on Tuesday, you're going to have Mercury challenging Chiron in your eighth house. This could be bringing up things, again, internally, some internal transformation is brewing around maybe some deep-seated wounds that you didn't realize were there. And it's really shifting your mindset, and maybe even how you're communicating yourself with friends, with your community, or what you're doing in your community. It feels like there's a lot of expansion in terms of you putting yourself, your ideas out there within, I don't like to overuse the word community, but that's the only way I know how to describe it. It's like your network, your community, you're providing some sort of value to them in some new way that feels like it triggers you, but it also feels very nourishing and supporting at the same time, and very healing for you, especially as the Sun Jupiter conjunction is happening on this day as well in your 11th house. And then that's where we're going to have the new moon, is in your 11th house on Wednesday on conjunct Jupiter. So there's this big new beginning happening in terms of how you're sharing yourself with your community and putting your gifts, your ideas out there into the world, and how that's playing into some long-term vision that you have for yourself, maybe even helping you financially as well, maybe creating more resources for you to have to work with, through these new ventures and this expansion that is happening there. Then on Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron, maybe bringing some, again, up some emotional wound or trigger as it relates to like these deep-seated kind of things in your psyche, about feeling supported and about like having nurturance and support through others in your community. It's almost like it might bring up a wound around, an equal exchange of value. Like you feel like you have to overgive for what you receive. And that might be called into question on Thursday as this transit happens. But then on Friday, Mercury and the moon are going to move into Leo in your 12th house, and they're going to oppose Pluto in your 6th house. So I feel like this is some big breakthrough, in your mindset, your belief systems. Again, whatever's going on in your subconscious, the deep psyche, whatever was there, it feels like there's some big transformation and clearing happening, especially as we get into the weekend, that maybe has you feeling a lot more yourself, a lot more free, a lot less weighed down than maybe you have been kind of feeling underneath the surface of things. Then on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your 9th house. So again, this could really, I feel like this whole week is just calling things to the surface that maybe were deep rooted about your belief systems and your mindset, maybe things that you didn't even know were there that you absorbed as a child, or maybe even in your early adulthood that you absorbed from other people, and you're realizing like, oh, I don't want, like, this isn't mine and I don't want it. So it's really like you taking back your power from these things that maybe had you in a chokehold, and you didn't realize they were kind of running, everything underneath the surface. So that's the week ahead for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Libra Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 9th house, challenging Mars in your 12th house, but harmonizing with Pluto in your 5th house. So this could be some big, like, energetic rejuvenation, maybe related to like your creative projects or what you're sharing with the world, maybe even romantic or dating life as well. There could be some positive internal transformation that happens around those things that maybe shifts your perspective of life and how you're going about everything as it relates to that. With Mars in your 12th house, it's like, what what maybe things about your energy or how you take action or how you just organize um like your life underneath the surface is changing, is getting this kind of like how do I say that, focus, so that you can like really shift like the framework underneath. It's like changing the software of like yourself. And there might be something that challenges you to look at that on early on Monday. But then as we get into the week, you're going to have the sun on Jupiter in your 10th house, which is a good transit for expansion in your career. That's where the new moon is going to be too. So there might be a lot of new beginnings or intentions that you're setting with how you want to show up in your career, what you want to be known for, how you want to nurture people, and also in turn be nurtured and supported through you just sharing yourself with the world. But also on Tuesday, there could be some challenge between your career and people. It could kind of trigger something like someone comments something mean or something on a social media post, or you have this weird interaction with somebody in public that it is a little bit aggressive and it brings up some trigger or wound you didn't realize was there. But again, this is all kind of, it's this big energetic cleanup is happening for you. So it is something that is prompting you to look deeper at your subconscious and how these things have been playing into your experience of life. It's really like this big cleanup. So don't take it too personally if someone does trigger you. It is kind of just getting you to look at these things at a deeper level within yourself so that you can work through them and they don't keep occurring. Then on Wednesday, we are going to have the new moon, like I said, in your 10th house, which is just going to be this time to really set intentions and have new beginnings around the way that you're showing up and what you want to be known for in your career and your reputation moving forward. Then on later in the day on Thursday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your 7th house. So again, there could be some emotional thing that happens with somebody that triggers you, that doesn't feel super comfortable. But again, it is having you look at these things that were maybe running your life underneath things, and creating patterns, contributing to the creation of patterns you didn't really enjoy. So it's being brought up for you to heal it and really move on from it so that it doesn't keep happening. Then on Friday, Moon and Mercury both move into Leo in your 11th house. So I feel like this is going to be like the weight is lifted, and this is going to bring you a lot more fun to emotionally and mentally. I feel like you're just going to be a lot more social as Mercury is moving through Leo, maybe even having a really fun weekend this weekend. This is a great time to just do things that bring you joy, to spend time around people that are fun, that just maybe even kind of stroke your ego a little bit and like build you up and support you in ways that you really have been craving and needing, in a really authentic way as well. This is like, it's not like this doesn't have bad intentions. It's like these people are really, they have pure intentions to support you and just kind of bring you joy. That might even prompt you into some inner transformation as it relates to what I was saying about your dating life and passions, creative pursuits, and projects, as it will be opposing Pluto in your 5th house too. So again, this could bring some inner transformation to just how you're viewing passion, creation, sex, dating, all those kinds of things. This weekend, it feels like it can really transform a lot for you, Libra. And then on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your 8th house. So this could be, from whatever happened earlier in the week, this could really prompt you to shift a lot about your how you're viewing money and resources and the creation of that in your life and what you're doing with it. But there could be some emotional challenge around that, in your community or your network, or maybe even on social media, that you're realizing like, oh, okay, I really need to like maybe keep this more to myself, these changes that I'm experiencing or these things that I'm manifesting in my resources. there's some big sudden unexpected shift that starts this weekend and goes into next week as it relates to your resources and how you're using them, and maybe even again where they're coming from. So that's the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Scorpio, we start the week off with the moon in your 8th house. It's going to harmonize with Pluto in your 4th house, but also challenge Mars in your 11th house. So this could be some positive thing happens with money, maybe through family or around a move or with your home in some way, some transformation you've been wanting to make there, with your roots, your foundation. But it also might challenge your community, network, social media, something like that. But I do think it's ultimately going to be positive, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. And then gearing you up for this new moon that is to take place right after we have the Sun and Jupiter conjunction in your 9th house on Tuesday. That could be some big, whatever happens on Monday, I feel like could really prompt for this big shift in your perspective of life. Like, I just feel like you're going to have some breakthrough that's like, oh, like I could have been seeing life this way the whole time. And it's like, I feel like it's going to bring you a lot of healing, but it might happen through some difficult conversation as well. Maybe related to your family, or just what is going on in terms of your home, and maybe even your work life too. Then on Wednesday, like I said, we're going to have that new moon in Cancer in your 9th house. So this is a great time for you to really set intentions and ground in that breakthrough that you had around shifting your perspective of life and starting to view things differently. And like viewing life, I feel like from a perspective of what is going to nurture and support me the most, because that's also going to nurture and support everyone around me, even if it doesn't always look like that. That is the medicine. And then on Tuesday, or I'm sorry, not Tuesday, Thursday. Oh, we're on Thursday now. The moon in Cancer is going to challenge Chiron in your 6th house. So again, this could really bring out some emotional wound or trigger around that breakthrough that happened earlier in the week, and that perspective of life shift that is evolving. This could be kind of a trigger that happens through your work or through your health maybe, or something that is like, there's a challenge in your day to day, and it could prompt for some big emotional release because something is triggered, or a wound is brought up. But then I feel like on Friday, I feel like that's going to bring some catharsis, like some cathartic release. And really, like, this weight has been lifted from you as the moon and Mercury move into your 10th house on Friday. I do feel like you're going to be feeling a lot more light, and just more fun, or at least able to have more fun with what you're doing and how you're going about life in general. This feels like really good for your career and what you're doing there and the changes that you're making there, because it also will be opposing Pluto in your 4th house. So whatever changes you're making in your home could very well support your career, but it might feel like you're kind of torn between the two, and it's almost like the seesaw for a little bit until Mercury moves away from Pluto. But I do feel like it's prompting you to just really look at and be disciplined with, again, your schedule and your routine. I feel like that's been a big focus since Saturn and Neptune moved into your 6th house, of like, okay, what is my schedule? I need to get on a routine. I need to be like really disciplined with what I'm doing on a daily basis, because that's going to help me with all these changes and all the maybe chaos that's happening as a result of those changes too. And then Saturday into Sunday, the moon is going to be challenging Venus and Uranus in your 7th house. There could be some big shift that happens through a challenge or a conflict with somebody in your life, but it is going to result in you, I feel like, channeling that into your career, what you're doing in some way. Maybe like you're realizing how life has shown up for you is like a way that you're meant to help other people. So whatever this conflict or challenge is, it could really like happen unexpectedly and really frustrate you. But I do feel like you're going to realize like, oh, I can help people with this, or I'm sure other people experience this too, and like bringing it into your work in some way. Let me know how that resonates with you, Scorpio, because I feel like that was really specific. I feel like these horoscopes this week are really specific. So let me know how everything goes for you, and I will see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon in your seventh house. You might be emotionally focused on Monday on your relationships. That might come through some supportive conversation you need to have, or just an internal shift in like your mindset. But that also might challenge your career or your work in some way. And it's like, okay, I need to do these things in my work, but also I need to like really take care and nurture like emotionally what's going on in my relationships. And I need to maybe just like change the way I'm communicating there. And it feels like, you know, you're being pushed and pulled. But the first half of the week, the focus is on kind of like cleaning up what's going on with relationships that maybe there has been neglect around or avoidance around. Then on Tuesday, Mercury is going to challenge Chiron in your fifth house. So that again might further bring up these challenges with your dating or just creative passions in general, and how you're able to really be disciplined with what you're doing creatively and how that's maybe affecting your resources or your finances in some way. There might be some needed conversation that you have that is maybe a trigger or a wound. It's uncomfortable. It's not a fun conversation, but it does positively shift your money or your creative drive to uh, bring in more resources for yourself. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have the new moon in Cancer in your eighth house. So you might be really focused on setting intentions, having new beginnings with your resources in general, maybe even what you're doing with them, how you're investing them. You know, it's like, okay, where's the money coming from? Where is it going? How am I able to still support and nurture myself, and maybe like have a better work-life balance of like how I'm bringing in money and then what I'm doing with it, so that it feels more supportive and it feels more nurturing to the whole process of whatever you're building or whatever you're doing. I do feel like there's just a lot of changes that have been happening in your work and how you're making money. And so there needs to be some kind of structure or system that's put in place around that, so that things don't fall off. It's almost like you're learning how to like juggle everything. Then on Thursday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your fifth house. So that could further bring up emotionally what was a theme on Tuesday, and really just create this emotional shift within your subconscious, within your psyche, maybe even around money, of like, okay, I really need to view money differently or resources differently. Maybe there's a belief passed down from your mother or the mother's side of the family or something like that that hasn't been benefiting you as it relates to money, and you're realizing that, and that it needs to shift. But it might happen through a trigger or a wound that is a little uncomfortable. Then into Friday, Moon and Mercury move into your ninth house. So again, bringing up this theme of big mindset shifts, big philosophies of life shifts, big perspective shifts. And not only like how you're sharing yourself and your ideas and communicating, but what's going on internally that's extending to the way externally you present yourself. Does that make sense? And as Venus gets closer to Uranus too, I feel like there are going to be these big breakthroughs in terms of your work and your self-worth and your values, and how all of that is playing into what you're creating. Especially on Saturday and into Sunday, as the moon is going to challenge Venus in Taurus, then it will harmonize with Chiron in Aries, and then it will challenge Uranus. So I feel like that is kind of like, okay, what are my values? What are my morals? How am I living from them? And how am I embodied in them? And then positive healing around that. That maybe presents itself as like a positive boost in your creative pursuits or passions that you're sharing, maybe even dating life too. And then it will challenge Uranus and kind of bring this pressure to your emotional energy to really make those changes that you realize that are needed for you to make. So that is the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Capricorn, we start the week off with the moon in your sixth house. Early on Monday, it's going to challenge Mars in your ninth house while it harmonizes with Pluto in your second house. So this could be some positive shift around money related to your work, maybe content you're creating, ideas you're sharing, information you're sharing, but it also feels like it could challenge your perspective of life. It could challenge something about just how you're viewing the world around you. There's a big cleanup organizationally happening in how you're viewing life. Maybe you've been really diligent about meditation and really like, affirmations and really diligent about making changes to how you're going about life and how you're viewing it all. And it's kind of like there's this big push to do that on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we have Mercury challenging Chiron in your fourth house. So there could be some challenging conversation that happens with somebody in your life around something in your home, or something in your home really triggers you. And there's a need to have a conversation with somebody about it to feel supported in what's happening. You might even just be talking to ChatGPT about it or something, and like, I was really triggered. Help me break this down or work through it, or a therapist, whatever your vibe is. But I do feel like there's going to be this need to talk through whatever happens that triggers you within your home or your family on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we have the new moon in Cancer in your seventh house. This is new beginnings and intentions with expansion in your relationship, whether it's setting intentions to call in a person that feels like a true partnership for you that you've been wanting for some time, or like you meet somebody that feels like, oh, this is really promising. Like this feels really balanced and nurturing and supportive. I do feel like there's just this big expansion happening with partnership in general, whether it is romantic relationships or friendships or both. There is a lot more supportive people coming into your life, Capricorn, and I think you're going to just be focused on that with this new moon. And then as the moon continues to move through your seventh house until Thursday, when the moon challenges Chiron in your fourth house before it moves into Leo later that on Thursday, that could really, again, bring up whatever happened on Tuesday in your home or your family that triggered you. It could bring that up again in an emotional way, where it's like, okay, I'm so over this. It's been so frustrating. But it kind of forces you to feel the feelings. Whereas Tuesday, you might have just been like wanting to talk about it. On Thursday, it's like, I need to feel what this is bringing up so I can really release it. Then Friday, the moon and Mercury move into your eighth house. Again, you're going to be more focused on your finances. I feel like whatever was happening with everything else, it's like, okay, I released it. I let go of the energy that was there. And now how can I make more money? It's almost like it's like you're not letting it weigh you down. There could be some big internal transformation with your resources, with your finances that happens that propels you into some new creative venture that is more positive for your money, short term and long term. Then on Saturday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Uranus in your fifth house, as it will harmonize with Chiron in your fourth house. This could be some positive shift too around your finances, but it might come at the expense of being uncomfortable emotionally. Like it's almost like you're stretched in a way you didn't want to be, but it is a benefit. It is a kind of unexpected positive thing that happens through some sort of challenge or conflict. And then it might even, just help you feel better about what's going on in your home and your family life that's maybe been triggering you there as well. So that's the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Aquarius, we start the week off with the moon in your fifth house, harmonizing with Pluto in your first house, and challenging Mars in your eighth house. There could be some emotional conflict between a creative passion, a pursuit, maybe a dating, romantic interest, or something like that, or children, and your resources. Or like some deep subconscious wound that maybe you didn't realize was still affecting you. It's almost like you're really internally focused on yourself and transforming a lot about you and what's going underneath the surface of everything. There's a ton of stuff below the horizon of your chart, which the horizon line is the line that goes from your first to seventh house. So when things are really concentrated below that line in your first to sixth houses, like it's really a time period of focusing on your inner world. And there's a lot about that that's transforming for you. And I think Monday is going to be this catalyst to really look at some of that emotionally in a different way. Then Tuesday, late on Tuesday, we have the new moon in your, let me go back a little bit. Earlier in the day on Tuesday, we're going to have the moon challenge the north and south node in your second and eighth houses. So this could be some big change around what you're doing creatively to make money. And then we are also going to have Mercury squaring Chiron in your third house. So this could be some big change that's needed for you around your communication style or what you're doing on a daily basis for work to take care of your physical health and body, maybe through some wound that you have with like a neighbor or somebody close to you, that you have this conversation that's very uncomfortable, but it prompts you to look at things differently. And then on Tuesday, later in the day on Tuesday and into Wednesday, the new moon is going to be in your sixth house, again setting intentions around what you're doing to take care of yourself, and maybe how that's playing into your work life, and maybe having better boundaries around your schedule and what you're doing on a daily basis. It feels like there's a lot of expansion. There might have been a lot of busyness around what you're doing on a daily basis and your routine and errands and all that. I feel like life has just gotten really busy. And so there's a need for you to really kind of have your grounding practices and a routine in place so that you don't get swept up in the busyness of everything. Then going into Wednesday, again, I feel like that's going to continue to be a theme as we really kind of feel those new moon energies. Mercury is going to continue to square Chiron before it moves into your seventh house, into Leo. The moon on Thursday is going to challenge Chiron in your third house. So that could bring up a really big emotional release around whatever came up earlier. That was maybe a triggering conversation that you had to have that gave you those realizations around your routine or your health. It feels like there's some big emotional release and conflict that happens on Thursday that kind of amplifies that and gives you more clarity too, around the emotions needed to clear that thing. Then on Friday, the moon and Mercury move into your seventh house. I feel like this is going to be positive for your relationships. I feel like you're going to be having more fun with the people around you. It might even prompt for some sort of empowering internal transformation, but you might also feel like your friends or your relationships are kind of taking away energy from your ability to focus on your internal transformation and what's going on within yourself. But I do feel like you're going to find that balance, and you're going to realize like how much support you really do have from other people in your life. That's positive. And then as we get into the weekend, we have Venus starting to move towards Uranus in your fourth house. So there might be some big change in your home or your family life that you are realizing you need to make as we get into the weekend, and even early next week. Going to continue to be a theme. There could be some emotional challenge or conflict that happens Saturday into Sunday with somebody in your life that kind of triggers you to realize you need to move or make changes in your home or your family life that maybe you've been putting off or you just didn't have clarity around. I feel like there's going to be some big breakthrough that happens through maybe a challenge and conflict in a relationship. But I do feel it's going to empower this new sense of like communication and how you're sharing your ideas, your information with people, how you're like communicating yourself. Might even give you more clarity too around those shifts to make in your routine. I feel like that's a lot for you, Aquarius. So please let me know how that resonated, because there's a lot going on for you. And I'll see you next week. All right, Pisces Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon in your fourth house. It's going to be challenging Mars in your seventh house while harmonizing with Pluto in your 12th house. So there could be some big internal shift that happens early on Monday related to maybe a conflict or challenge that came up through a relationship, or somebody in your life kind of being maybe a little bit aggressive or overly critical of you. But it does prompt for some internal transformation on a subconscious level. Then on Tuesday, we will have Mercury challenging Chiron in your second and fifth houses. Mercury will be in your fifth house, challenging Chiron in your second house. This could bring up some belief system in terms of like how you're sharing yourself with the world, the creative projects you've been taking action on, and maybe any wounds or triggers around money or being seen for your creative work or passion. It's almost like the starving artist belief system. Like if that's still in you in any way, it is going to be brought up for you to look at. So you shift it so that you actually allow yourself to feel supported monetarily, financially, with money by sharing your creative passions. It's almost like your passions are here to nurture you and nurture others, so allow yourself to receive money for them. Then on Wednesday, we have the new moon in Cancer in your 5th house on Jupiter. So again, this is going to bring a lot of expansion to your creative pursuits and passions and how you're sharing those with the world. Maybe children for some of you too, if that applies, or your dating life, if that applies. But I do feel like in general, like it's just going to be this big creative boost of like really realizing your creative passions nurture you, and it's like an outlet that heals you, and also that really benefits the people that get to receive your work, whether it's art, whether it's writing, whatever it is, right? It's like there's this give and take energy. I'm seeing the 6 of Cups. If you're familiar with tarot, it's like this equal give and take energy that comes from you sharing your gifts with the world, and that is positively benefits your money. So allow it to. Okay, what else do we have going on? Thursday, we have the moon challenging Chiron in your 2nd house. So this could be some big emotional purge around that belief system of, starving artist mentality, or however it applies. There could be some big emotional purge, shift, release on Thursday around whatever came up on Tuesday. And then into Friday, Mercury and the moon move into your 6th house, putting that focus on your creative work and passions and how you're sharing that with the world. And that could really prompt for some sort of subconscious transformation too internally, as it will be Mercury and the moon, when they first move into Leo, will be opposing Pluto in your 12th house as well. So this could really just bring up, again, those subconscious themes around you sharing your passions and getting to be creative and like as a job, and how that maybe hasn't been supporting you to view it in a certain way. And so you're making the shifts that are needed to view it in a way that's more beneficial for you and the people that get to receive your work. And I feel like I just keep repeating myself because that's really the theme for you this week, Pisces. And then again, there could be a further positive emotional shift around that Saturday and into Sunday, as the moon will harmonize with Chiron in your 2nd house, but it will also challenge Venus and Uranus in your 3rd house. So there could be maybe some thing that happens within an errand or a neighbor or sibling, somebody that's close to you. I feel like there could be some kind of challenge that happens through them that kind of, again, furthers this emotional release. But I do feel like it'll be positively healing for your money, and you might even receive more money through this, because yeah, you might even be inspired to create content or create something around whatever happened whatever happened in this conflict or challenge. I feel like somehow it's going to positively benefit your money and your work, even though it's not comfortable to experience emotionally when it happens. So yeah, that's the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, let me check the comments, and then I'll hop off here. Okay, I don't see any. I don't know if it's not working, but I appreciate you guys for being here. Let me know how that resonated with you, because I feel like that was a really specific, everyone had a really specific message, and I feel like it wasn't cohesive. So let me know how it resonated and how the week ends up going for you. I love to hear from you all. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.